Hey guys, Gemma ASD rocks. So something incredibly amazing and incredibly distressing happened just the other day. Beau went on this autism social walk. It was arranged by his speech therapist, and he's never done anything like that before. You know, even if there was a school event that had a group of people in it, he wouldn't have gone. So this was like a pretty big deal, and we turned up and there were Beau reckons there were about 8 kids. I don't know, I felt like there was so much more. Probably just because, you know, I was so overwhelmed by what was going to happen. And all these kids have been on this walk before. So they're all clients of Beau's speech pathologist, and it was down at Sandringham Beach. There were probably about, if there were 8 kids, 9 kids, there was, you know, 7 boys, 1 girl. And I got Beau to take pudding because I thought that would be a really, really good sort of like icebreakery type thing, and they were all going to walk along Sandringham Beach. And so we got there dead on time, and most of the kids were there, and some of them had other dogs, and they're all sort of between 15 to, I don't know, 22, something like that. You know, and you could see Beau do his shrivel thing. Like, he brings his when he gets really anxious around people, he shrivels. His shoulders come up and both his hands come up to his chest. And the parents sort of must have been au fait with it all, and they dropped their kids off, and they just sort of walked off together. It was a little bit like, you know, mother's group, and they just walked away from their kids. They were like, yep, okay, see ya. And I said to them, I was like, check you guys out cutting the cord. Like, I was still terrified of what was going to happen. So excuse me. So Beau went off with pudding. He's never even walked pudding, let alone like held on or walked pudding, let alone walked with a group of people. But his speech, he's known him since he was 2, and I trust her implicitly. And so me and four mothers and I went off to to this sort of little sheltered area down by the Sandy yacht club, and we just sat there talking. And I haven't been in a social situation like that since mother's group. Not really with, you know, a bunch of other mothers, because I haven't fit in with a bunch of other mothers. But it absolutely broke my heart when I heard where all the other kids were sort of up to. And I remember my sister saying to me about 10 years ago or something, you know, I don't think you realize how bad Beau actually is. And I was like, what? We're doing bloody brilliantly. I think it depends on where you come from, like how far you've come. But, you know, they were all like one of the kids was going to the dream school that I wanted to send Beau to, which was the I can never remember the stupid name. It's amazing school. Somewhere around Q, I think. Anyway, and she knew one of the kids, because I knew he went there, and she knew one of the kids that Beau went to Southern Autistic School with, which was our poster boy. We just wanted to be like him. Well, I just wanted Beau to be like him, because, you know, he had a couple of words and he ate everything, and, you know, he moved on to mainstream before Beau did. And I was like, you know, they were talking about what their kids were doing, and you know, and also what this other kid was doing, and he's like, I don't know, got a part-time job, or and they're catching trains to school every morning, and, you know, they're doing all this stuff, and I'm like, I still have to, like, dress Beau, you know, like, he can't work out what to wear for the weather. And, you know, they were like, oh yeah, you know, we were sort of, we weren't comparing, but we were sort of talking, and I was like, they were like, oh, you know, but it all comes, and riding your bike, and, you know, and I was like, yeah, we only just got that, and Beau didn't tie his shoelaces until he was 15, and it just was like, it was the same when I interviewed Richard Eisenmeyer, and I was talking about Beau's stims, you know, his verbal stimming and his stim running and all that sort of stuff. And he was like, that's pretty hardcore, that's really intense. And I was like, is it? Like, we've come a long way. Like, seriously, I thought we were doing pretty well. And he was like, yeah, no, that's pretty intense. So I was talking to Richard Eisenmeyer yesterday. I got Beau in to see him for the first time in a while. Well, ever. He's, you know, Beau came and just sort of said a bit of a thank you. It was really sweet. You know, for him suggesting about school and all that sort of stuff. And I was telling him about it, and I got really weepy, you know, I got quite emotional. And he said to me, you know, Gemma, Beau at his level, he said, you've got basically a classic autistic kid there. You know, these days, someone with those sorts of not symptoms, what's the word I'm looking for? Those sorts of traits would usually have an intellectual disability and an IQ below 80. You just happen to have gotten like the classic Rain Man with a really high IQ, who's academic, but is, you know, with that in hand, has a very autistic nature. He's quirky. He's also aloof. You know, he's not social, and he really is like your classic 80s autism definition. And I just, you know, it's been quite tough. It's been really tough for me to have seen that. And he said to me, you know, it's really common that mums like you who are, you know, full-time carers, and they just sort of end up in this autism bubble. But he gave me some real pearls of wisdom. Apparently, I have to kick Beau out of the house by between 25 and 30. That's the age. And I do not discount anything this guy says. Like, he predicted every single stage and age that we should and needed to do everything. So I really don't have a problem you know, and he said, but it'll be a slow transition, Hill. You don't do 2 nights a week, it is flat, and then, you know, 5 nights with you. And I can understand that, because obviously everything's been like that, from walking to school to wearing school shoes, you know, you name it. But yeah, it's actually been a really, really challenging, difficult week for me emotionally. For Beau, I think it's been fantastic, because he is aloof, and, you know, and then the kids were so awesome and so verbal and so social. It was tough. It was tough to watch, and it was tough to be around the mums. I think I like my autism bubble better. Yeah, it was very confronting. Anyway, I love him to death. Wouldn't have him any other way. You know me. ASD rocks.